Hey guys, good morning. This is 𝗧𝗏𝗪𝗏 with Creative Retail Talks, and we're talking with Alexa Westerfield this morning. Alexa, thanks for joining us.
Hey Clint, how's it going?
Good, good. So good to have you with us this morning. I know you and I have chatted a lot over the last several months just about happenings in the industry and things that you're working on. So I'm excited to visit with you this morning and just kind of share some things from your journey. Hi, this is 𝗧𝗏𝗪𝗏. Thanks for joining the Creative Retail Talks podcast today, where we will be discussing the latest in life, business, and retail. I think in the industry overall, there were some very early adopters that did a really good job of pivoting and shifting in a timely manner. But I think for a lot of companies in the industry, it's been a challenge to have the right social media strategy. You know, now the buzzword is influencer, have the right influencer strategy. And I think a lot of the companies in our industry are relatively small. A lot of them family owned, or they started as a family owned business. And so I think even now, there's still a lot of companies in the industry that are still really trying to dial in and figure out how to execute a social media strategy. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you I wanted people, one, to know that that's something that you do and can help with. And we'll talk more about that kind of at the end about how people can get a hold of you. But it's very important because one of the things I'm big on is we've got to understand at the end of the day, what does the consumer want? Mm-hmm. And that's important for the retailers to understand. It's important for the suppliers to understand. And a lot of times to do that, you've got to know, well, what's the best way to communicate with the consumer? And obviously today it's social media platforms. And so, but I think there's still a big need for companies in our industry to continue to learn and grow in that area.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like it's been a little bit of a challenge because I feel like it's gone from us telling the consumer, this is what you do with the product, and now they're telling us. Yeah. But it's like you have to be very mindful of where are they at? Where are they at? What are they sharing? So, I mean, there was a point, especially with a tie-dye is a good example, and puffy paint, I started seeing like the trends emerge that people were doing. And I would just look at it and I'd be like, oh, they're already making this. So why don't I either partner with them? Let me partner with them. They're the thought leader in this area, or they're really good. That's one thing I definitely recommend for brands is to look at the people that are already good with your products. Mm-hmm. You could go and you could get the biggest influencer in the land that you think is the biggest craft influencer possible. But if they do not have a hand for your product, that's not going to do you any good. And you know, a lot of times I think our products are, to be honest, I think a lot of brands work within niche artists use your product for certain things, right? Right. We have some things like that probably are viral in paint pouring. Yeah, a lot of people are really into paint pouring. Okay, that's a viral craft trend. But what about, I don't know, alcohol inks? Like if you know your consumer tends to be a paper crafter, why not go and try to get really in that space? Like there's Facebook groups, there's forums, go look up Pinterest, go look and see who are the people making this product look amazing. And most likely you're going to find your product in the mix. You're going to see somebody that already has a hand for it and expertise. They know how to take great photos. I always suggest starting there, or you go down our Instagram hashtag route too. And just get a feel for who is that person really showcasing the product in a very positive light, and they really know how to capture it. Because a lot of times those people know how to capture it better than you do. Yeah,
that's a really good point. So let's think of an example here, Alexa. So let's say there's a company out there, they've dabbled in social media, but they haven't really taken the deep dive to do some of the things that you're talking about. What would your recommendation be for a company that's really still on the front end of the learning curve on this, to take the next steps to expand into a much more robust social media connection with the consumers? And how do they get there?
Well, I think you have to look at I mean, I'm assuming that most of these places have a little bit of at this point, most everybody has a social media platform. You have to start from somewhere. So I would say that let's just consider that most people have a baseline social media. They might not be using it super actively, but they've built up maybe a small following for their products. Yeah. I would see, from a strategist point of view, I would look where are people the most engaged with you? When you post something, they comment. Or where do you see people most engaged with your product? Is that in a Facebook group forum? I don't know. Like you gotta go where you're gonna get the commentary and the engagement and find the fan. Who is the authority, like thought leader in this? Not thought leader, but there's either thought leadership there or there's just a raving interest for your product, you know? So you need to find those spots. And what I find that happens a lot of times people will be like, Instagram's the cool thing. We need to be putting all our effort in Instagram. Well, I'm not saying Instagram's not cool or that it's not valid or that you can't put your following, but if you're getting cricket responses from Instagram, meanwhile, maybe over here on Facebook, you're getting a lot of traction. Or the other thing, I have thoughts on this, but you might need to be like, why am I spending all this time on Pinterest? Is it because my daughter says, on Instagram, because my daughter says it's the cool place to be? Is it really? But where is your customer there?
Great question. You know? Yeah, very important question.
So there's two aspects, and I also think of it like this. And I wish I could tell you that it's just like this easy. A strategy is very fine-tuned per brand. But I think you have to look at where's the greatest opportunity for brand awareness, engagement, and growth, and building that network of fandom and love for the product, where there's a sense of connection. But then there's also the reality of going in your back-end analytics and being like, oh, Facebook's driving all the traffic. Oh, Pinterest is driving all the traffic. Because I'm going to be honest, I think a lot of craft brands are really sleeping on Pinterest. I don't think they're dialing in, and Pinterest is where people go. It's not even really a social media at this point. It's a discovery tool, and it's where people are looking to purchase a product. A lot of people are converting sales off of Pinterest these days. There's a lot of stats and figures. I don't have one off the top of my head, but I could get them if I really need to. But I think it's a sleeper for a lot of brands, and there may be pending just a little bit. But if you went hard on your Pinterest strategy and directing them Amazon links or your website to purchase or that kind of thing, I mean, and ultimately, let's be real. We want to connect the consumer, but they also want them to buy our product.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's finding those spaces and going very strategically in the direction of what's your I guess your ROI, which one are you going to get the best return out of for your efforts?
Yeah.
You know, good. And it could be you want brand engagement in this one platform, but the other one is this one drops the sales. Yeah,
that's good. All right, I'm going to ask you a question, and you may laugh me off the Zoom call when I ask this, and that's okay if you do. So I want to ask your opinion on TikTok because I've had a thought here. TikTok obviously caters to a younger demographic, younger audience. But one of the things that the craft industry, I think, is trying to do is to try to connect with that younger audience, begin to pull them into creativity and to begin to pull them into just creative activity in general. So I have a 16-year-old daughter, and she brought her phone into me a couple weeks ago and said, "Dad, look at this." We work with a company called 𝗪𝗠𝗪𝗠 that does paint markers, chalk markers. They're based out of Japan, but have actually a California office and warehouse not too far from you.
Oh, cool.
And so she shows me this TikTok, and this girl is doing. She has 3 of our chalk markers, and she's like doing designs with them to music, and it had like over 1 million views. And so I sent it to him, and I said, "Hey, this is interesting. This social media post on TikTok showing the chalk markers to music has over 1 million views." And so I just said, I don't know, but maybe something to think about of how do we use TikTok as part of a social media strategy. So tell me your thoughts on that. I didn't prepare you for that question, but tell me your thoughts on TikTok. And
I think
that too out there.
Yeah, no. I'll just tell you personal experience. I do some work for a musician, and I manage his TikTok, and this past week I posted one. It went viral. In a week, he's gotten 12,000 followers.
Wow! Oh my goodness! All right,
1 week.
Give me that link.
Yeah, it's really good. But what people on TikTok, the young people, and mind you, I want to tell you, it's not just young people anymore on TikTok.
Really?
It's not. No, it's millennial. It's because I observe it on what I get engaged on his thing. I'm like, there's some older people on here. I think what has happened, just my gut feeling, and I don't have any stats, but I think what's happened is your daughter comes in with this thing and says, Dad, look at this, or Grandma, look at this cool video. And the grandma's like, oh, I love videos. Oh, that's so cute. I'm going to have to get on that TikTok. And I think that's what's happening is because TikTok is just hours of entertainment fun, a bite-sized entertainment.
Right.
And I think if you like crafts, like there's some people on there, tons of crafts doing Cricut crafts, paint pouring. Every segment of our market in the craft industry is on TikTok right now.
Interesting.
So, but I want to tell you do you want me to tell you how I think you should go about it?
Please, yes. Let's share with the audience. How do you go about a TikTok plan?
I think you find that girl that wrote that TikTok, that 𝗪𝗡𝗬𝗫𝗪, and you send her a boatload of products.
Yeah.
Now, if she's huge, she might be wise to it and be like, oh, this brand, they want me. I'm going to make them charge.
Yeah.
Maybe you say, okay, we got $1 million on okay, let's do 6 videos for XYZ amount of money. Or maybe I always try to go we love what you do. We'd love to send you a box of product. We just love that video so much. I always go that route first because some people, they just get tickled that they got recognized. And a lot of these people that lady, I would make an assumption, is she's probably a user of the product anyway, loves it. It would be so overjoyed to get like every color of the rainbow of the product.
Yeah.
But it's just going to really depend on the person and how savvy they are to it. So I would say big picture, I would say approach people that are already organically using the product in their TikTok and write them a message.
Okay.
Tag them on their TikTok and be like, hey, we love your stuff. We just sent you a message. And maybe even send them a message Instagram. I like to hit people up like, I just sent you an IG. I sent you a Twitter. I sent you and you do it at the same time. It's hard to ignore.
I love it.
It works. I would do that. But I would already find the people playing in the space and send product first.
Yeah.
Before and you got to ask yourself, do you really have there's that piece. The other piece is finding people who use the products. Now, this takes a little trust level, but maybe have an internal employee and saying, we want you to create videos exclusive for our TikTok.
Yeah.
But you need to have somebody that has that back in TikTok. They know how to make the stuff. They know how to use the hashtags. They know how to curate it, the video, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You could get other people to make the content on your behalf, and it looks like organic TikTok content. Because let's just be honest, a lot of times when we internally do the content, it misses the mark sometimes.
Yes.
I mean, if your daughter went out there and she started doing tie-dye, that video is going to be more organic and probably fresh and fun. And it's going to come from the angle of what works for TikTok, right?
Right.
As opposed to us being like, oh, well, I'm going to go in the studio and I'm going to shoot this flat lay of the overhead, I'm just saying, I think that somehow they think just differently and more creatively in using the filters. I had a little neighbor, I was trying to do my TikTok and I was like, I don't know how to do this. And she's like, here, give it to me. And she was like, oh, that's all I have to do. And I was like, oh, wow. Like you really, this.
Yeah.
So
that's a good
I don't know if that was a good answer or not, but I think,
Great.
yeah.
and
curate the people that already are doing it right.
Yeah, that's a great point, and thank you for your insight on TikTok too. That's something I've been wondering about. I do think it's a platform that's going to become more and more meaningful for the craft industry, and so I appreciate your thoughts on that. So I want to come back to something because you and I have talked about this some, and you've mentioned it a few times. But for anyone that's out there, maybe they're a VP of sales, VP of marketing, and they're thinking, okay, our company needs to connect with influencers. I want to hit it head on because, again, you've alluded to it a few times, but what would your recommendation be to, if they're looking for an influencer to connect with their product and to help them increase exposure of their product? What's your game plan? What's your recommendation?
Well, when working with influencers, I do look at the people that I think you need to know which niche you're targeting. Like, I think you need to know, I'm just going like, I want to work exclusively with a fashion DIYer. Okay. A fashion DIYer is different than a kids crafter. So you need to know which segment are you hitting, because that fashion DIYer, more than likely, they're not going to knock it out of the park the way a kids crafter would. So you really need to get really firm on what's the thing that, or a trend. There's even like some people are really good at the trends or whatever. Like maybe it's like they're a general craft trendy type person. Maybe you got to get real focused on which segment you're hitting. Like, and even knowing it down to like, I want the millennial mom that has the 𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗫𝗔 style. I'm just saying, I don't know what it is for you. You need to get really focused in on that. So that, first of all, know which type of crafter you're targeting, because this person, it's going to be a little bit, generally probably a little bit in a niche. Like, I think a lot of times, and I've experienced this, is we try to be all things to all people as brands, and a lot of times it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't work. It comes off as very muddy or murky, because it's just like, well, that, I don't know what that brand really is about. But if they know they're coming to you for alcohol ink projects and on paper crafts, like stay in that kind of lane.
Yeah.
So that's my first thing, is know the lane. Secondly, go find the people in the lane. And there's two parts to this. So one part is search the Pinterest. Pinterest is a great place to find the people, because they're the bloggers. They're the bloggers that are doing full step out projects. Mm-hmm. I feel like those, I do not for a second, like when you think of influencers, you got to realize that there's influencers in all these spaces. My personal feeling, I think the bloggers, a lot of people were like, nobody's doing blogging. No, that's not true. Pinterest always needs fresh new content and new projects and ideas, and people are searching for them. So these bloggers know this, and they're making a career and living off of this, and they're basically creating always fresh new content for these platforms. And I'm just going to tell you, Pinterest is where it's at for a lot of us in the creative industry, is where people are searching for their ideas. So don't ever look and go, blogging's dead. It's not dead. Yeah. That's where a lot of the ideas and the ideas form on Pinterest, where they go, the idea that you see, oh, that tumbler craft that's now get the glitter glaze coating. That happened. That trend probably went viral in maybe a couple places, maybe a Pinterest, maybe a Facebook group. Facebook groups is your other place that you want to be looking.
Yeah. I know a lot of the retailers that we work with, the ones that are really dialed into watching what the consumer's doing, Facebook groups is where they spend a lot of time looking. And we've even had retailers tell us, hey, I saw this in a Facebook discussion group. Yep. Yep. Bring back some info to me on this, or bring me a product that ties to this. So yeah, I agree. I think that's a great place to be watching and looking.
Yeah, because I think the Facebook groups are, I feel like the Facebook groups have kind of replaced customer service in a way for some people.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. Like, how many of our brands can be like this with an answer to a problem? Oh, this paint's doing. Does anybody have this problem? Why don't you just go in a Facebook group of a bunch of experts that have used the paints before and ask them, as opposed to call the company?
Right.
That's what's starting to happen. So we do need to, we need to be involved and know who these players are. And if you're really dialed in, you start to see the same people pop up over and over.
Yeah.
That's one thing. So again, this is fine-tuned for everybody, but you gotta, those are a couple of things, is know your niche. Now go to where those people are.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation on the Creative Retail Talks podcast today. Be sure to visit our show notes page for more information on today's show. And if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, reach out to me at clint@creativeretailtalks.com. Creative Retail Talks is all one word. That email address will also be in the show notes. Hope you have a great day.